question I ask a lot in coaching. What is it that you would like today? Because we can think that we wanted the thing that we put on our vision board or that we were manifesting or that family or society or our own inner judge said we wanted and that would bring us value. We can think that's what we want. But if we don't pause and ask each, let's say month, let's not make it every day, then it's too easy get pulled along with the flow of obligations. Pretend I put air quotes around those. Well, welcome to Intuition, Your Success Compass. I'm Vicki Baird, your host and wisdom-led mindset coach. This podcast is where intuition meets strategy and mindset meets meaning. I help smart, successful women stop overthinking and start trusting their inner wisdom. Because your clarity, confidence, and next level life are already within you. With over 2 decades of coaching experience, a knack for systems, and a great gift for spotting what's off, be it a saboteur thought or an out of alignment choice, I'm here to help you connect your brilliant brain with your soul's knowing. You'll get grounded insights, a little humor, and real life tools to create change that actually sticks. Like your go-to morning brew, unfamiliar, grounding, and the nudge you didn't know you needed. And I love coffee, so that works too. Hi there. Welcome to Intuition, Your Success Compass. I'm Vicki. And this episode is going to be one that is very heartfelt for me because most of the women that I work with are running their own businesses, running a company, lawyers, doctors, high stress levels at times, not all the time, but at times. And mostly living in that hyperachiever, hypervigilant space and not really sure about how to take time for themselves or have the space to think. Does this sound like you? Does this sound like you at all? Maybe you're so incredibly busy with your work and maybe you have some kids. Maybe you sit on a couple boards. Maybe life just keeps rolling on and there's parents you're taking care of, or it seems like there's never enough time in the day to focus on yourself or to bring attention to what you don't even know you need, but you need. This episode's for you because so often I hear that I'm trying to do it all, but I can't figure it out. I doubt that I know what to do. Maybe this is just how life is supposed to feel. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. And I very much remember that space of having 3 kids, volunteering, working full time, married, and trying to buy a house and all of the stuff that comes with that. And someone suggested to me one time, could you just walk with me after work? And I remember looking at her and thinking, you have no freaking clue what my life looks like right now. I don't have 5 minutes because I have to go pick up the youngest at after school. I have to get home. I have to make sure that the middle has his athletic cup so that he can get to the baseball game that he has to go to. And where is the oldest one? Because Lord knows he had no boundaries and didn't know how to listen to rules or anything like that. And I remember thinking, what a privileged life she must live to have time after work to go for a decompression walk. And years later, I was like, oh, she's brilliant. Like she was in a different stage of life. She had already done the 3 kids and they were more independent, which happens too. There are sometimes just phases in our life where we're like, help. And that's what this episode is about. You're not broken. You aren't doing something wrong. This is not how life has to feel. It may be how it feels right now, truth. You may just be overdue for support. And knowing what that support is, unfortunately, takes time and being willing to pause and think about what is it that I would like. This is a question I ask a lot in coaching. What is it that you would like today? Because we can think that we wanted the thing that we put on our vision board or that we were manifesting or that family or society or our own inner judge said we wanted and that would bring us value, we can think that's what we want. But if we don't pause and ask each, let's say month, let's not make it every day, then it's too easy to get pulled along with the flow of obligations. Pretend I put air quotes around those. So this episode, I'm hoping, will help you hear that nothing really needs to be fixed. It's not broken. But if you're feeling any kind of discontent, or like I was feeling incredulous when someone would even suggest that I take a 20-minute walk when I had to go do all these other things, then this is perfect timing for you, because an overfunctioning pattern that we have, all of us have on some level. It may not present out in public. Maybe somebody looks cool as a cucumber and they're not easily flustered. Maybe they've done their work, so that doesn't apply anymore. Kudos. But all of us have somewhere within us some type of messaging that, especially in the States, that productivity is where we get our value. How much we can get done is where we get our value. And we have learned, unfortunately, that that's the messaging, and that's then becomes the inner belief. And I'm here to say it doesn't have to be that way. I've actually realized that the more work that I do understanding my brain and my wiring and the saboteurs that I have, the more time I have in my day, to the point where I'm I'm asking, okay, what is that next thing that I can get into? Because it seems like there's space here. And I didn't make extra hours in my day. That is not what has happened, because I think we would just fill those with more busyness anyway. What I did was I've learned to stop the chaos that's running through my head. I've also learned to ask for help. I've learned to release things that I thought I wanted that are just no longer resonating. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do too, is first recognize, are you in some kind of over functioning pattern? Like I was when I looked at my friend and said, you just don't get me. You don't know where I am in life. So that's where victim took up a little bit too. But are you in that over functioning pattern where you have hyper responsibility? Maybe perfectionism is showing its cranky little head. And are you hearing yourself say to someone, well, I got this done, I got this done, I got this done, I got this done? And where in there is there a pause for yourself, or a feeling of spaciousness in my brain? I actually have on my laptop desk that little stand that you put your laptop on so you can look people in the eye and not have them look up your nose. If you're not using that and you're doing Zoom calls, please raise your laptop up. It's very distracting for those of us that are looking at your nose. But I have this paper on my desk that spaciousness was my word this year. And that meant in my thought process, that means in my day. And yes, some days that's not happening. The spaciousness comes when I'm in the shower. And then I'm like, okay, take some breaths. But the intention of spaciousness, or pausing, or breathing, or slowing down your words, Victoria, can bring that focus of self, so that you don't feel as exhausted because you've done everything else for everyone else, including the pups or the cats or iguanas, whatever you have in your home. And you've not turned towards self, and you've not even asked, what is it that I can do for you today? I would love to normalize the idea that investing in ourselves is actually how we help others. I know it's true of me. I did start to take walks with my friend after I mentioned to my husband. He's like, you can take a walk after work to decompress. There's time. And maybe 3 days a week, he would pick Kayla up from daycare. So I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know that help was possible. And, love the dude, but he was not exactly a follow through on his commitments. So I didn't trust that that help would be there. And that can be part of the issue. So that's why I feel like investing in yourself with the dependable method, let's face it, that's part of my coaching, right? I show up on time every other week with my clients, fully available to them in that moment. And that is their hour. Like, no one else has any part of my brain, my heart, my intuition when I'm in a session with someone. There was actually one time I get so focused, and that's my commitment. Like that, I feel like that's my obligation, and it's a heartfelt obligation. But one time a fire alarm went off and the client actually said, should we pay attention to that? And I was like, oh shoot, didn't even hear it. So that she was investing in herself to be there. And I was answering that call of the investment. Yes, she paid me. And yes, I'm showing up in that way. But once you learn that it's okay to invest in yourself that way, that could be the walk with a friend or the call where you celebrate your wins or the art class that you take or the book that you read, the weeding that you do in your garden. I just bought a riding lawnmower, and while it kind of terrifies me to do the hilly parts, I'm facing that same fear because I invested in myself. It was taking me 3.5 hours to push mow my lawn. It's a big lawn. We're returning a lot of it to the wild, but in the meantime, you still have to tame down the crazy. And I said to Mike, I want my time back. Like, I love the workout, but I want my time back. So it could be something like that where you invest in yourself. And my lawn did look pretty snazzy, I gotta say. So where are you not investing in yourself? In time? And if that time is with a coach, go you. Is it with a therapist? Fabulous. Is it with a personal trainer? Woohoo. Is it volunteering? I consider my volunteering to be an investment in myself. I'm learning so much. I learned from the animals. I learned from Nancy. I learned from my co-volunteers. And the more I step into the training role, I'm learning to be more clear and evident with my words so that they know clearly what to do to keep them safe, but also to keep the barn in good running order. That is my self-return. There's this tendency for coaching and all of that to use the word self-help. I don't love those words because there are so many times in my life, even to this day, I had a couple weeks ago where Mike's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I do not know. I do not know. I know my life is amazing and I feel out of whack. And I figured out what it was, but it's not about self-help. Like, if you don't know what's going on, you want to invest in yourself to get that self-return. So whatever form that takes, you'll get the return on the intuition, your awareness, your aha moment. Maybe it's a conversation that you give yourself the space to go out with your girlfriend to have coffee and maybe walk around a lake or something. And in that conversation, it's happened to me many times with my friend Kelly. I'll be like, ha ha, that's actually what was going on. And it's that self-return that just like we can lose ourselves in doing so much for everybody else or buying into the idea that productivity is where my value is, we can also lose the ability to harness that intuition, that knowledge, that wisdom, because we need a bouncing off point. So whether you invest in a course, whether you invest in one-on-one coaching or any of the other things, like I've said, cooking class, oh, I did a couple of those. Those were fun. Anything that you're investing in will have a return to self. And it takes courage to be able to say, I want to do this for myself, especially if like funds are tight. I do a complimentary class once a month for that reason. I want people to invest in themselves, and there's no cost for someone to participate, but you do have to invest in that time. And that might mean going and sitting in the car to take the time so that you aren't disturbed in the home, and which I would say you need to establish some boundaries there so that you can take that space. So support could look like exactly what I've already talked about. I'm not going to reiterate, but it can also look like turning to a process like, meditation or yoga or positive intelligence. Because once you start learning about your brain and how it talks to you and how it's saying, just keep going, you're not good enough, or your ability to show up is only matched by how much you can push. That's such a saboteur statement, a judge statement, inner critic, inner biatch, as I call mine. Once you start investing in yourself and learning about your brain, you can also build those muscles to help yourself. And when you learn to quiet the brain, your intuition goes up exponentially. It just does, because there's less clutter in there. There's less voices, less of the committee, other people in your life who have contributed that you're like, you can step off. I don't need to hear your voice anymore. You're building a self-command muscle. So if the coaching is not right for you right now, therapy's not right, you're just in that space where you need a little bit of support, well, maybe you do a program like my Mindset Breakthrough, or you get in a writing group and you guys have some dialogue. It's important that you be able to dialogue and not just watch from afar, because investment also means an investment of your energy and your time. And that support can come in so many ways. So, for instance, when I do the Mindset Breakthrough course, you get the app for positive intelligence for a year. I offer that. And we may be completely done with the 7-week program, but you still get that app for a year with constantly new information being added, and there's a community in there. But it helps you to learn about your brain. That's a level of support. And it helps you to be in this world with more of a soul connection. Because when the noise quiets, your soul can finally speak. Your intuition didn't leave the room. It's just crowded out by all of the noise that's there, and perhaps the space that you're not allowing in your life. Like I said, it takes a little bit of courage. So an actionable step may be naming that inner critic. Like, I call mine inner biatch because it makes me laugh. I have a woman who calls hers Judge Judy. We have Judge Amy, which I assume I know Judge Judy is a TV show. I assume Judge Amy is a TV show as well. And there's the executioner was one. I thought that was a little rough. But if that's how it feels, you just do that. When you name your inner critic, Bossy Betty, Hyper Harriet, when you name that, it gives you mental distance, and it makes it easier to interrupt pattern that might be saying, you don't even deserve the help. You said you were going to clean that closet and you never did. Look, there's still dishes in the sink. You don't need help. You're just lazy. These are all the voices of an inner critic or a judge, learned and created in childhood. And no matter how idyllic your childhood was, you're going to have inner saboteurs simply because you have gray matter. You have a brain. Congratulations. So what would you name your inner critic? When mine shows up, and it does on a daily basis, we are not going to be able to ever quiet that inner critic so much that it doesn't exist. It's not possible, because we still need something to tell us not to walk in front of traffic or to, jump off that cliff, because you have not figured out how to fly yet. So you're still going to need that. When you come up with this relationship and you recognize that it's this voice or a computer program, if you want to think of it that way, you can turn to it and say, wow, nice to see you. no, thank you. That's not possible. I like to do that. And then I do my PQ reps, which are, looking at something beautiful for 20 seconds, taking some deep breaths, rubbing my fingers together. I like to clench and unclench my hands. Some of that because I have some arthritis showing up there and I just want to keep the hands moving. I will push my toes into the ground, something for 20 seconds that gets me back in my body to remind me that this is not my soul talking. This is not my wisdom. This is absolutely that inner critic that thinks it's trying to keep me safe, but I no longer need it, or I don't need it in this situation. So you could look at yours and please do it with kindness and empathy and a curiosity. Like, what's it telling you? You're going to hereby ask your brain to support you. It's no longer going to be part of the committee that beats you up. So once you ask your brain to support you, you can learn how to ask other people to support you, because the feeling of this just makes sense, or I'm worth it, I want this, is something I hear often in coaching. I love that expression. So once you can create that relationship and recognize that this voice is trying to help you, it's just been programmed in a way that it comes through with kind of a snarly voice, then you can ask, okay, I hear you're showing up to help me. So what part of me have I been ignoring? And what part wants to be heard, return home to self? This will shift the mindset from productivity to presence. You're asking yourself, hey, self, what's going on in there? What would I like to feel in this moment? How would I like to be present? Maybe you're making dinner and your head's running with tomorrow. That happens a lot for people. What's going to happen tomorrow? No. Dial it back. Get back to this moment. It takes practice. You didn't develop these voices in your head, saboteurs and inner critic. You didn't develop them overnight. So it takes some muscle building, some mental fitness to get it back on the other side. Once I did this, because I never ask anything of you that I'm not willing to do myself or haven't done for years, and realize, hey, this helps, I should probably mention this. That's what I asked myself a couple weeks ago when I was just feeling so off. And what it came back to was I was falling into the habit of not speaking up when other people were gossiping or speaking ill of someone else. And I don't participate in that. I'm all for problem solving and for understanding if somebody needs help, but I do not want to play in the gossip. And I was being complicit because I wasn't saying anything. And I just, once I realized that, because it was creating this discord within myself, I asked, well, what part of me have I been ignoring? And that was my integrity. I was absolutely ignoring my integrity and allowing that behavior to happen in my presence. Now, they can go on and do that with someone else. I'm not judging them for doing that. That's where they are in their process, but I'm not going to be a part of it. And I actually said to them, if you're talking about those other people that much, are you talking about me when I turn my back? And the person said no. And he said, well, I don't know if I can believe that. And I walked away. And once I did that, I was like, okay, welcome back, Vic. And that's the support I gave myself. So support isn't always external. A lot of the times it's internal, and it has to be internal until we realize that we can have that conversation. So that's one of the reasons that coaching works so well, especially intuitive coaching, I believe, because I can actually feel what's going on in the person, and a lot of the times give words to what's going on so then they can support themselves. I'm not doing it. I'm here as, the one who's already done it for herself, but also that who sees thousands of people over the 25 years in business and understand that we're all wonderfully unique, but our brains aren't all that different. So once we show support and once we say, I've got the tools, I can now apply them. I would love to be in community. I want to have the support. One of the perks of being on contract or in contract with me is that you have Voxer support, even when you're not in session. I am happy to jump on that Voxer and do a voice memo or a text or something. If you're on contract with me, you have that every day except for Saturday, because that's hiking day, that's family day, that's Vicky doesn't even own a business day. So what kind of support can you bring yourself that you are then willing and capable and able to ask for the support externally? Because sometimes it does take deep breaths and trust, but it also is important to feel that there's not something wrong with you. You've likely just been programmed into overproducing and not looking at yourself as this whole entity, this being, this soul that walks around in a human body but loves its space. So how are you going to support yourself after hearing this episode? Actionable steps. Take that actionable steps. Step. Micro movements matter. I want a small thing. I want something that you can measure, though, so that you can come back to the place of celebration for yourself. Name your inner critic. That's the first thing you're going to do. Then you're going to ask, what part of me have I been ignoring that's ready to come home to myself? And then you look to, what is the support that I require this week? If you own a business, what are you doing in your business that is way, way below your hourly rate? What are you performing that someone else could do? Virtual assistant, someone that you already have in your business, outsource it. Look to that too, because very often, especially we entrepreneurs, we will take everything on our shoulders and think only we can do it right. And that's not true. It's not true. There are brilliant people out there that do everything brilliantly and take that away from us. So asking for that, but also feeling valid in the ask is important. So you need to support yourself and think of this as an investment. You've spent your life investing in everything else, everyone else. It's okay to choose you now. I'd love for you to choose you now. And if you choose me as a coach, I'd love that too. However, take this one small step first, okay? Name that inner critic. Oh, it's more than one step. Name that inner critic. What part of me have I been ignoring? And where is it that I need support? And what support will I ask for or create this week, right now? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you tune in and that you listen to these episodes, well over 300 now. And I hope to see you in my Mindset Breakthrough, which starts in August, or in a coaching session. Take care. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If something landed, made you laugh, or gave you that nudge to look within, share this episode with someone who could use a little clarity too, please. And if you're curious about going deeper through coaching, courses, or community, you can always find me at vickybaird.com or on any of the socials at Vicky Baird Coaching. And until next time, keep trusting yourself. You've got this, and your soul is cheering you on.